Welcome to the Lost in History channel. Be sure to subscribe and like so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. Historic photos showing a prototype of an automatic shaving machine developed around the 1990s. The image presents a seated man, while mechanical arms carry out the shaving process in a controlled manner. Monopod chairs from 1953. Presented as a practical and portable solution for rest. The photograph shows people using the support seat with a single central post and an adjustable base. The main event is the demonstration of an innovative design aimed at comfort in open spaces and lines. A document called the Bill of Mortality, dated 1665. The image shows an official record with the number of deaths that occurred in 1 week during the period of the Great Plague of London. Anti-aircraft rockets positioned on launchers aimed at the Florida Straits in 1962. The photograph shows the defense equipment prepared during the period of the Cuban Missile Crisis. Police portrait of Alphonse Bertillon, made in 1912. The photograph shows the French criminologist posing front and profile, following the format he developed himself. The main event is the record of the creator of the standardized photographic identification system, known as the mug shot. Chariot racing with motorcycles, held in New South Wales, Australia, in 1936. The photograph shows competitors driving adapted Harley-Davidson motorcycles, pulling small chariots in a sporting event. Helicopter by bicycle maker Paul Cornu in 1907. The photograph shows the invention with 2 horizontal rotors, designed and built by the French inventor. The main event is the first free flight of a rotating wing aircraft, successfully carried out by Paul Cornu. The ship Cromdale aground in 1913. The photograph shows the large sailing vessel listing near the shore after hitting a sandbank. The main event is the record of the accident involving the last clipper built for the wool trade between Australia and the United Kingdom. The Human Fly, John Jamie Reynolds, in New York City in 1910. The photograph shows the performer climbing the side of a building, drawing the attention of a large crowd in the streets below. A biplane pilot taking a photograph of himself in 1915. The image shows the aviator inside the cockpit, holding a camera while the airplane is in flight. The main event is the record of one of the earliest known examples of an aerial self-portrait. The M497 train, known as the Black Beetle, in 1966. The photograph shows the experimental jet-powered train during a high-speed test. The main event is the record of the moment when the M497 set the American Railroad speed record, reaching 183 miles per hour. Marilyn Monroe visiting Korea in 1954 to perform for United States troops. The photograph shows the actress smiling while greeting service members during one of her performances. Entrance to Goa Gajah Cave, located on the island of Bali in Indonesia. The photograph shows the carved stone entry, with details that represent traditional figures and symbolic expressions. The main event is the site's prominence as an important historical and cultural landmark in the region. Miss Iris Davis, known as the Cat Whisperer, in London in 1940. The photograph shows the woman holding a cat, surrounded by debris from damaged buildings. A rebel soldier throws a grenade in Burgos, Spain, in 1936. The photograph shows the fighter in motion, captured at the exact moment of the throw during a confrontations. Actress Heather Thomas in a photograph taken in 1983. The image shows the artist at a highlight in her career on American television. The main event is the record of her popularity during the period when she took part in successful series. The Daleks invade Cardiff in Wales in 1964. The photograph shows the characters from the famous television series being escorted by Police Inspector Glyn Pocket. The main event is a promotional action carried out to publicize the success of the British science fiction series. Construction of the subway at Columbus Circle in New York City in 1901. The photograph shows workers carefully excavating beneath the square's central monument. The main event is the record of progress in building the subway system, which would become one of the largest in the world. A sponge vendor in the streets of New York City in 1896. The main event is the record of one of the many forms of street trade common in the city at the end of the 19th century. Before the arrival of the ice resurfacing machine in 1917. The main event is the record of the methods used to keep rinks in good condition before the invention of modern cleaning and leveling machines. An American service member with a Japanese child on the island of Saipan in 1944. The photograph shows the meeting between the soldier and the child during a moment of assistance and care. The main event is the record of human interaction amid a period of great historical change. Catherine Bell, an actress and producer known for her work in television and film. The photograph shows the artist at a highlight of her career. The main event is tied to her roles in internationally successful series. The Serra Pelada gold mine, located in the state of Pará, Brazil, became a striking symbol of mineral extraction and working conditions in the 1980s. In 1986, thousands of prospectors worked side by side on huge earthen slopes, using simple tools and physical strength in search of gold. A woman walks while renting out books as a mobile library. The photograph shows a person carrying several books to offer reading in different places. The main event is the record of a creative way to bring knowledge and culture to those who did not have access to fixed libraries. A man displays strength by lifting a large stone block in India in 1895. The photograph shows the performer demonstrating physical skills before a curious crowd. The main event is the record of a traditional strength exhibition, common at fairs and local celebrations. Workers from the Fiat factory taking part in a rooftop race at the industrial site in 1923. The photograph shows employees running on the track built on top of the factory building in Turin, Italy. The beginning of aviation in the 1890s. The photograph shows inventors and engineers experimenting with flying machines with wooden and fabric wings. The main event is the record of the early tests that preceded the development of modern airplanes. Parrott gun used during the American Civil War, photographed in 1865. The image shows the 300-pound gun with its muzzle burst and shattered after firing. The main event is the record of an accident that occurred with one of the most powerful artillery weapons of the era. Anna Coleman Ladd, an American sculptor, recognized for her humanitarian work after the First World War. The photograph shows the artist in her studio, working on molds and details of artificial faces. An aerial explosive about to strike London in 1945. The photograph shows the object in full flight, passing over the city toward the ground. The main event is the record of a moment of alarm during a period of intense air attacks on the British capital. Marilyn Monroe in a photograph taken in 1962. The image shows the actress in one of her final photo sessions, displaying her distinctive style and natural charisma. The main event is the record of an important moment in her career and personal life. Father Luis Padilla during a shootout, holding a wounded soldier and looking back toward his gunman. The photograph shows a moment of extreme tension in which the priest tries to give help amid a dangerous situations. A couple says goodbye with a kiss during the wartime period in the 1940s. The photograph shows a moment of affection and emotion between two people before a separation. The main event is the record of farewells common in that era, when many left to serve far from home. President Richard Nixon visited the Apollo 11 crew in 1969, shortly after the historic return of the first crewed trip to the moon. The visit took place while the astronauts were completing a preventive quarantine inside a facility specially designed by the National Aeronautics and Space Administration to avoid any unknown biological risk. A girl with her doll in London in 1940. The photograph shows the child seated among rubble, holding the toy while she looks at the place where her home once stood. Workers known as the Bevan Boys, about to go down into the mines at Markham Colliery, Yorkshire, England, in 1943. The photograph shows young men dressed in mining clothes, ready to begin an underground shift. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, a British writer and physician, creator of the character Sherlock Holmes. The photograph shows the author in a formal portrait, representing the classic style of the Victorian era. A Russian worker in the city of Stalingrad in 1930. The photograph shows a man in work clothes, representing the period of intense industrialization in the Soviet Union. The main event is the record of the collective effort to modernize the city and expand industrial productions. Men, women, and a boy of the Apache people, with Geronimo at the center, in St. Louis in 1904. The photograph shows the group gathered during a cultural exhibition held in the city. Children of New York City at the end of the 19th century in Mullins Alley in 1888. The photograph shows a group of youths posing in a narrow alley, representing the urban daily life of the era. The main event is the record of living conditions for families who occupied densely populated areas of the city. Jesse James, an American outlaw and robber, lived between 1847 and 1882. He gained notoriety for carrying out robberies of banks, trains, and stagecoaches during the post-Civil War period. Prospectors seeking gold during the Klondike Gold Rush in 1897. The photograph shows groups of men climbing snow-covered mountains, carrying heavy tools and supplies. A public health medical officer taking measurements in the alleys of Liverpool in 1907. The photograph shows the professional using a tape measure to record the width of the passages between buildings. Hargrave kites, developed in 1893, marked an important step in the history of flight. The photograph shows box kite models created by the Australian inventor Lawrence Hargrave. Russian chess players in Moscow in the 1950s. The photograph shows men focused on outdoor matches, surrounded by attentive onlookers. The main event is the record of the popularity of chess as a cultural and intellectual practice in the Soviet Union. Louis Victor Bayeux, 1793 to 1898, the last surviving soldier of the Battle of Waterloo. The photograph shows Bayeux at 103 years of age, wearing his old military uniform. The main event is the record of a veteran who witnessed one of the most remarkable clashes in European history. This object, which resembles a dinosaur egg, is actually a jar with burned figs about 3,100 years old, found in Ekron, Israel. The photograph shows the preserved archaeological container with marks of time and carbonized remains inside. Mechanical traffic signal in the city of Philadelphia in 1922. The photograph shows a police officer manually operating the device installed at a busy intersection. The main event is the record of one of the earliest urban traffic control systems in the United States. Chain Bridge at the Jiangyu Hill Temple in China in 1930. The photograph shows a suspended bridge made with metal chains linking 2 points above a river. The main event is the record of a traditional structure used for crossing in mountainous regions of the country. Sergeant Major Jiggs, the mascot of the United States Marine Corps in 1922. The photograph shows the mascot, an English bulldog, wearing a military uniform and posing beside members of the Corps. The main event is the record of the official mascot, a symbol of courage and loyalty among service members. A living flag of the United States formed by 10,000 sailors in Illinois in 1917. The formation was planned with precision, using light and dark uniforms to form the stripes and the stars. A mother helps her child with a loose tooth in 1897. The photograph shows an everyday moment of care and attention between mother and child. The main event is the record of a simple family scene, representing the customs of the late 19th century. Zorita with her pet snake in 1939. The main event is the record of one of the performances or photo sessions that made Zorita known for her bold and creative acts. A woman harvests hay in the town of Cogne in Italy in 1959. The photograph, made by Pepe Mauricio, shows the worker in the field using traditional harvesting tools. The main event is the record of rural practices typical of northern Italy during the post-war period. The photograph, The Blind Girl, made by Christer Strömholm in Hiroshima in 1963. The image shows a young woman walking with a cane, portraying daily life and human resilience amid the city's reconstruction. Meg Miles, an American actress of the 1950s. The photograph shows the artist at a notable moment in her career in film and television. The main event is the record of a time when she gained prominence for her performances in popular productions. Gambling at the Gem Saloon in Deadwood, South Dakota. The photograph shows men gathered around a betting table in a setting typical of Old West saloons. A child peers at the landscape with the help of an adult at the Grand Canyon in 1880. The photograph shows the pair on a slope, while the child is lifted to look at the canyon's imposing view. William Curly Bill Brocious, an outlaw, gunman, and member of the group known as the Cowboys, lived between 1845 and 1882. The photograph, or historical portrait, shows him with the typical appearance of men of the Old West, wearing a hat and riding clothes. James Wild Bill Hickok, a gambler, showman, lawman, and American gunman, lived between 1837 and 1876. The photograph shows him with a serious expression and tasteful clothes, characteristic of his striking personality in the Old West. A young Jesse James, an Old West outlaw known for robbing banks and trains, in 1864. The photograph shows the future gang leader still very young, wearing simple clothes of rural American life. The Lincoln County Regulators Group in Chavez County in 1878. These men came together to seek justice and protect local ranchers during commercial and political disputes. Johnny Ringo, an outlaw involved in the Mason County War, lived between 1850 and 1882. The main event is the record of one of the best-known names among figures of the American West associated with disputes and local conflicts. J. Plater's Cart, Van and Carriage Works Shop, located in Buckinghamshire, England, in 1903. The main event is the record of a typical British workshop specialized in the manufacture and maintenance of animal-drawn vehicles. A photograph titled, "I Provided Resistance to the Police," date unknown. The image shows a person posing for a police portrait with a serious expression and a direct look at the camera. A tower of beverage barrels about to be destroyed during the Prohibition period in 1929. The main event is the record of enforcement actions carried out to reinforce the ban on the production and consumption of alcoholic beverages in the United States. Ironworkers on the Empire State Building in New York City in the 1930s. The photograph shows workers balanced on steel beams at great height during the construction of the skyscraper. The main event is the record of one of the most impressive landmarks of modern engineering and architecture. Morgan Earp, an American sheriff and lawman, lived between 1851 and 1882. The photograph shows the brother of the famous Wyatt Earp in a formal pose, with clothes typical of the Old West period. The Apache Kid, a scout for the United States Army, and later considered a renegade, born around 1860. The photograph shows the young Apache in traditional clothing with a firm expression, reflecting his origin and complex life story. Mining Exchange Building, the place where the hearing of the famous shootout at the OK Corral took place in 1881. The main event is the record of the site where testimony and investigations were carried out after the confrontation between the Earp group and the Cowboys. England's women's team receiving a gold medal in 1912. The photograph shows the athletes gathered after winning an international sporting competition. The main event is the highlight of the achievement, which marked the presence of women in major tournaments of the early 20th century. Marilyn Monroe, beside Betty Grable and Walter Winchell in 1953. The photograph shows the three at a social event, posing for the camera with cheerful expressions. The main event is the meeting of major names from American film and journalism of the time. A confrontation between the police and George Farley in Los Angeles in 1938. The photograph shows officers in action during the attempt to capture the suspect in a neighborhood of the city. The main event is the record of a police operation that received wide press attention at the time. The oldest known photograph of men drinking beer, taken in 1844. The image shows a group gathered in Edinburgh, Scotland, holding glasses of Edinburgh ale. A man fishing with a rod on the beach in Nome, in the United States, around the year 1900. The photograph shows a calm seaside scene, with the man at work near the water. The main event portrayed is tied to the period of gold seeking in the area, which drew many people to Nome at the beginning of the 20th century. Carrie Fisher, dressed as the character Leia on a beach in 1983. The photograph was taken during a break in the filming of the space saga released in that period. The main event is the actress's relaxed moment away from the set. A punt gun is an oversized shotgun used for hunting waterfowl in the 19th century. The photograph shows the weapon mounted on a small boat, a common method used by hunters of the time. Victorian era women who kept long hair in the 1860s. The photograph shows a group of women displaying long, carefully arranged hairstyles. The main event is the record of a common custom of the time, when hair was considered a symbol of elegance and status. The first automobile race in the United States, won by Frank Duryea in Chicago in 1895. The main event is the record of the first official car competition held in the country, with a route of approximately 50 miles. The model Kathy was featured in Sports Illustrated in 1987, headlining one of the publication's most memorable issues. The photo shoot captured the vibrant and polished style of the 1980s, with tropical settings, bold colors, and poses that conveyed elegance and confidence.